Oh,
Luke, what's up?
not too much. How's it going?
It's going good. It's been a long time.
It's been ages.
Wow. Hey, the place is looking good.
Thanks. Yeah, we're looking at new places, but right now this is actually working out pretty good. So I'm standing at my new desk. If you saw.
I did. I saw on your story that you got a standing desk. I gotta say, I'm jealous because I was thinking about doing that, but then I didn't know if I wanted to trade that for like the tiered parts of it, and I'm like, I don't know which one I want more, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of thought about it, and I was probably overthinking it, and just decided to go for it because I knew I wanted this, and it might not work years down the road for everything, but at this point, I'm loving it, so I'm happy with it.
I mean, hey, once we're making enough money off producing, then you can just get both, right?
Yeah,
Just
I'll
get
just
a
have
tiered
both.
one that raises. Yeah, why not?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, anyways, I guess let's get this show on the road then, man. We're back.
Sweet.
Small Town Producer Podcast is back. Oh, we got Nate in the chat already. Shout out to everybody who's rolling through live. We're trying it live on Twitch, which is super cool. This is we kind of went on a hiatus because we were doing these really cool, like, in-person meetings, and they felt pretty organic and fun to, like, get to know these new producers and stuff. And then once the pandemic hit, we switched over to doing Zoom, and I talked about it with Luke, and I'm just like, I don't know, man, it feels off, it feels different, like,
Right.
and yeah, it felt kind of different. So we went on hiatus, and I kind of was trying to figure out how I wanted to do it. And once I started getting into the Twitch streaming, and then I was like, I wonder if I can kind of transition this to podcasting. And I streamed it live when I went on the Rashad Radio podcast, and that worked out great. And he was super nice to let me do that. So yeah, anyways, I think this is going to be the new format for now, moving forward. I think this being on Twitch, streaming it, just kind of gives it another, kind of that extra, I don't know, the excitement section of it that was kind of missing from just being in a Zoom call and then just like posting it later.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, it gives people more opportunity to actually like interact or ask a question during, because I know like a lot of podcasts on Instagram or something, they'll say, let us know if you have questions for the guest. And sometimes it's like, I don't know what I would ask, to be honest. But then like you listen to the podcast and you're like, well, I wish they would have like asked more questions about that, or dug deeper onto that subject. And so it's cool if somebody wants to hop in and ask some questions in the middle. Maybe we can get to them at the end for future interviews and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Like, I think when we were interviewing Wantel, and I think I had the Instagram live up, and people were dropping questions in there, even just that was pretty cool. So,
Right.
yeah, I think this is the way going forward. But anyways, Luke, thank you for being here. I saw from your YouTube video that you're in Caldwell now. That's where the new place is.
Yeah, so that was actually, I'm in Nampa right now. I recorded that in Caldwell. I just set the video location to be Caldwell. That was actually Super Bowl Sunday at my parents' house, and they were watching the Super Bowl, and I went into another room and started recording that video because I wasn't that interested in the Super Bowl. So I figured I'll get something done.
I turned on halftime of the Super Bowl, and I watched the
Okay.
weekend, and then I was like, yeah. And then I
Right.
turned it off again. I was like, all right,
Right.
watched all I wanted to watch.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're here to talk about something pretty cool. I haven't heard of too many people doing this, and I had a lot of questions just based off of the video that Luke dropped. He dropped a video about doing beats on Fiverr on his YouTube channel. Really piqued my interest because he gave, I thought, a pretty cool, concise overview of it. Not too wordy or, anything. People sometimes post in these 20-minute videos of saying the same thing. But, so I thought that was really interesting. And I'm like, we got to do a podcast about this. This will be a good way to get the podcast going again and something interesting to talk about. So that's the main thing that we're going to be talking about today is the Fiverr, I don't even know what you call it, contracts or whatever. What do you call it?
I mean, they're technically, I think, called gigs. It's like gigs, you set up a gig, right? And so your gig is a service that you offer or a skill that you have or something that you can provide. And I think everyone, at least I knew of it. Had you heard of Fiverr before to some degree?
I mean, barely, because I think like Ed Talenti did a video one time that was like paying people to make me beats on Fiverr, and he paid like 5 different tiers of like payment, and just to see like if it got better as you went higher. But that was the extent of all that I knew.
Yeah, and originally I had only heard commercials, I think, about it for being like a logo design website, and the pitch was kind of you could get a logo design for $5, right? And that's where the name Fiverr comes from, I think. And originally, I think the main idea was you would say, hey, I need a logo for my company, and then all these people would say, I can do that for you, and you choose who you want to hire, and then you basically, up front, you pay them the money, they come up with the logo design, they send it to you, and then you can go into revisions and stuff like that if you need to. But and so they have all kinds of stuff on there, though. Like, people do website design, people do beat tags. For producers, beat tags is common. Art for people's beats, or like visualizers, or music production, vocal mixing, all kinds of stuff like that is on there. So if you're curious, check it out, because you can even like hire a guitarist on there to record some guitar loops for you, or like all kinds of stuff. But I started seeing, I think, some videos kind of like the Ed Talenti one show up, where people were hiring people on Fiverr to make beats and do kind of like beat battles almost, or like, here's what you can get for $5, here's what you get for $100 type of thing. And I was just curious to check it out and started digging around, and it didn't seem like there were that many people selling on it. Like, it didn't seem super saturated. People were getting sales with like kind of cheesy, no videos, no pictures of themselves, and like their beats didn't sound honestly that good, some of them, and they were still getting beat sales and people who were leaving positive reviews and stuff like that. So I figured, hey, why not give it a try? And yeah.
Okay.
And so yeah,
awesome.
That's how I kind of got the idea.
Okay, well, you answered my question. I was going to say, what was the catalyst for getting on? So you were seeing these things and you're kind of like, oh, this could be interesting. And also you're like, you said, it sounded like you just pointed out, you're like, I don't think that there's an oversaturation of beat makers in this one specific area. Okay. So there's Fiverr. Why'd you pick Fiverr, though?
Yeah, so, I mean, I've tried a lot of different things. Like, I think a lot of people have, just from, like, posting videos on YouTube, posting beats on BeatStars, working with people directly on Instagram to, like, sell beats and stuff like that. And for Fiverr, I mean, there's, I guess, other options out there. And to me, I just saw that it was an option, and I honestly kind of just tried it. I think it was another BeatStars or another YouTube where I was like, why not sign up? It was free to sign up.
Okay.
I'll sign up, put together a gig. Maybe somebody will buy a beat, maybe they won't. I honestly didn't think that I necessarily would get any sales, because there's no reason for someone to buy from me versus buying from someone else. I just lost
Did your mic just
pop
fall?
filter. It just slid down.
Oh, okay.
It was just my pop filter. But yeah, I was like, I don't know, I'll just try it. Just kind of like with everything with producing, I feel like you try something for a while, see if it works, make some tweaks, maybe keep going, and then decide whether you want to just ditch it and try something else or stay with it. I mean, that's kind of been my experience.
Never ditch it and you just cry every night and you're like, it'll work one day.
Right.
All right. So are there some contracting sites then, some of these gig sites or whatever, like, and they charge you like to start? So you pick Fiverr because that one had a free starting option, like you didn't have to pay a fee to get into it?
To be honest, I don't know what other sites are doing
Okay.
the same kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I imagine there are, but Fiverr, I guess, does a better job of marketing than they do because I was familiar with Fiverr and started seeing some videos on YouTube of Fiverr, but not like tons to where it felt like, oh, if I said sign up, it's probably already oversaturated and nobody's gonna notice. So
Okay. All right. I got you. So then, how did you get your first sale on Fiverr? Because you said in your video that you didn't advertise at all, and you got that first one. So was it just someone just like randomly found you and then just was like, "Oh, okay, I'll order from Lukeblood."
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Somebody randomly found me. So I mean, it's the same kind of thing where I tried to build in some SEO into my tagline, right, and into my description,
Okay.
and I tried to use photos and beat samples that I thought would be interesting to somebody. And it took like a month and a half, I think it was, about and from signing up and setting up my gig till I actually got an order. And so in that month, there's actually some analytics on the website to where you can see like if anyone's like seeing your page but they don't click on it, or if they click on your page but don't order. And so I was trying to play around with like title ideas and changing my thumbnail and changing the beat samples and stuff. Like every week I would make a couple small changes and see if it looked like my clicks went up or my views went up, something like that. And I was getting like 5 clicks, maybe 10 clicks. It was like a good week for me. And then out of the blue, somebody just messaged me and was like, "Hey, I'm working on this thing, and can you help me out making a beat with this?" And it was like an Eminem type beat, right? And so I was like, "Sure, I can do, I can do that. I'll figure it out." And
Yeah.
yeah, just went from there.
Awesome. Okay, that's actually super interesting. What were some of the changes that you did that you noticed actually made a difference?
It's hard to say. So I did a lot of research too, just on YouTube or Google, and like, how do you get your first sale on Fiverr, and see if anyone had suggestions. And there were some videos that were helpful as far as like, you want your title tagline to basically think of like so in YouTube you have your thumbnail, right, and then you have your video title.
Yeah.
The title, they all start like, I can make you a whatever. That's like how you have to start the titles on Fiverr. It's kind of weird. And so, but after that point, trying to make, everybody's like saying, I can make you a hip hop beat, right? Or I can make you a custom rap beat. And so I was trying to do something that was like a little bit unique. So if somebody's searching in like type beats or like Juice World type beat, I was hoping I'd be more likely to pop up. And then in the descriptions and stuff, I was trying to do some of that stuff too, like emotional beat, Juice World type beat type of stuff. It's kind of like YouTube, honestly. YouTube tags, YouTube descriptions. You're trying to have some keywords in there, so if somebody's searching, hopefully yours pops up, and then hopefully they click on it and see like what beats you have, and something there is interesting. So I just kind of tried to focus on the thumbnail and the title of my gig. Essentially, pricing is a factor of that also. If you have I had mine priced at like $15, I think, when I started for a beat. I thought about going lower, but I didn't want to like look like it was low quality, and I didn't want to go too high because I wanted somebody to be able to like take a chance on me. And so $15 I thought seems decent for like a custom beat, I guess, right? $15 is super low, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me talk about that for a minute. I had to like clear my whole brain of everything, every podcast, every video that's like no free beats. Make sure you're getting all this money for your beats. Make sure like if they're using these beats in music videos, if they're getting lots of streams or whatever. Some people like kind of rail on that stuff. I had to just be like, am I okay if somebody pays me $15 and I spend 3 hours making a beat? Am I okay with that? And like I had to kind of wrestle with that idea for a little bit and think, okay, well, maybe if I get a few, I can raise my prices. And I've raised my prices a lot. Like after I got some good reviews, I was able to raise my prices and stuff like that. But to some extent, like this was hard before I got an order, but after I started getting a couple orders, it was like, okay, I could like sell an exclusive beat for, let's say, $50, right? Which is ridiculous to sell an exclusive beat for $50.
Yeah.
But if I spend 2 or 3 hours on it and it's not even like a type of beat I care too much about, and I let that go, am I okay with that if that allows me to like, renew my BeatStars membership for a few months, or buy like put that money towards a new microphone or a new desk or something? And so at some point I kind of was like, I'm okay like underselling myself a little bit because I know I'm getting practice making beats. I'm getting outside of my comfort zone. I'm building a little bit of a reputation on Fiverr, if that leads anywhere. And so I kind of just, I sucked it up for a while and was like, I'll just sell these underpriced beats for now and we'll see where it goes. So, but that was not easy for me to decide at first, because I was like, I think my beats are high quality, and I think other people did on the platform too, and that's why I started getting a lot of orders really quickly once I had a couple good ratings. But
Okay. Yeah, that was my whole question. Was like, I was going to ask, how did you even start to price this? But I was looking on your site that you have right now even, and let's see, it says, okay, so you have a custom for profit wave is $50. And then like, how many of these kind of parameters, I guess, can you set on your thing? Because I see you have like 3, I think, in each one. Is that the max that you can put?
no, there's quite a few. There's quite a bit of customization you can do in there.
Okay.
Like you can say, you can have certain things be add-ons if you want, like their MP3, but you could get the wave for an add-on, an extra $5, $10, whatever you want that price to be. Same for like split tracks, and you can do custom add-ons. You could even say, I'll also like mix your vocals and master those for an add-on. Yeah, it's pretty customizable as far as what your pricing options are and what you include in those different options.
Okay, let me actually see if I can
Yeah.
do this. Bum, bum, bum. I'm gonna try to present.
What's up, Natel Beats? Penguino. I just now saw that. Or is this old? 659.
All right. Are you seeing that on there?
Presenting to everyone. I don't see it on the stream.
Yeah, why is it not?
Natel, how's it going, man? I see you ditched Penguino and went for Natel Beats.
Yeah, I think no, this isn't working.
That's strange.
It's not showing the screen. Anyways, whatever. We don't have to deal with that right now. Anyways, on here it says unlimited instruments, up to 240 seconds. Why were these things that you were choosing to specify? Because those seem like, just to the average person who has an average Track Trainer, BeatStars, or whatever, like those are like really specific, kind of odd like parameters to set. Why did that come in?
Right, and I think that's because the platform is, oh, there goes my pop filter. I think the platform is made for, you might be making someone an instrumental for a commercial or like an advertisement, right? And so like that's where the 30 seconds, 1 minute, whatever. Some people use those for beats too, and they'll say like, I'll make you like a 30-second snippet for $5, and then they get like that low price point. It looks like they have a thing for $5, but it's just like a sample essentially. For me, I just kind of tried to simplify it, and basically if somebody needs a beat and they want it to be 5 minutes, I'll make it 5 minutes. If they went like crazy and said, I want it to switch up 3 different times and have all this and be like 10 minutes long, I would say, okay, I can do that, but it's gonna be like extra. I can send you like a custom offer, and there's options to do that as well.
Okay.
So those parameters some of them are built in already, and like the instruments, to be honest, like obviously I'm never gonna put 100 instruments in a track. If
Yeah.
somebody says I really want like piano and guitar and I really want horns and I want whatever, like I'll probably find a way to squeeze those in, but nobody's gonna like just go out of their way to waste my time to try and actually see if I'll put 100 instruments
Yeah.
on a track.
I mean, unless they're like making a YouTube video or something.
That's
But
true. I'll probably get trolled now. Somebody will order a beat and ask for that.
all right, so I mean, looking at your prices, like, $50 for a wave, that seems totally fair. 75 for the stems. I mean, that's pretty good. The 150. Did you have any? I mean, you were saying that like you have been trying to raise your prices, and you kind of had to like get over this block of like, I don't want to sell myself short. Like, looking at this though, still, and just having heard producers for so long be like, never give out an exclusive for less than 300 or like less than 500, like, because you could sell it multiple times and make it back. And like, so like, are you still trying to get to the point where you can like raise your price, or are you comfortable with the 150 for the exclusive, or what, what's kind of your thought process on that?
It's been kind of a process of my confidence catching up, I think, too, to my skill level, because every price point I've gone like every time I bump it up $20 or whatever, right? I'm like probably like not gonna get orders anymore. And every time somebody has ordered, it's slowed down definitely, and I think that's partly just the Fiverr audience maybe tends to be looking for not too expensive beats. I think it might also be there's stuff I could do to improve my appeal and make me look more professional or whatever, to draw in higher price point artists, whatever that may be. But
Okay.
as far as the 150, I actually watched a video. It's a producer grind team video, I think. And I think they have a separate channel for their team. And one of the guys on the team was talking about how he started, and this is kind of like Wantel's story, honestly, from the previous interview, where he would get studio time in his city, right? And then he'd say, hey, who wants to pull up to the studio? I already have time booked, just show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if somebody shows up, then he'd start making beats for them, pull up some loops, make some beats, and then and there's more to the video than this. I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but then he'd say, I'll sell this to you if you want, and he'd sell it to him for $50. I think it was even he'd sell it to him for $50 if they just wanted, a lease essentially, or $150 if they wanted the exclusives. And he's like, and he kind of had thought the same thing. He's like, that's not that much money. Honestly, I'm probably selling myself short. But if the artist is here and the artist wants it, and I'm maybe building a relationship there's like other advantages than to just, I got $150 versus I got $300 for this exclusive. Like $150 is a lot of money, honestly. Like for a beat that he maybe spends, or I maybe spend a couple hours on, like, it's not that much, I know, because obviously people sell beats for like way more than that, or sell a beat 100 times for $10, and that's worth a lot more. But for me, where I'm at, where like I've made maybe like $100 before getting on Fiverr total in beat sales. Like we sold a beat together. I've sold a beat with a couple other producers, like collab, and then like I've sold maybe 4 or 5 of my own beats for 20 or $30 just for like a non-exclusive type of thing.
Yeah.
And so to get $150 for a single beat is pretty cool. Like I could buy a new keyboard or whatever, right? With something like that, and increase my workflow and then pump out more beats, kind of thing is how I'm looking at it.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's a great way to look at it. And you said that you're building that relationship, or I think that's how you said it, building that relationship. Have you had repeat customers?
Yeah, actually quite a bit. And I think I've had one customer buy 4 beats from me.
Wow.
And other than that, I've had quite a few who buy 2, and a couple who I think have bought 3. And the relationship factor is decent on Fiverr. Like honestly, it's hard to connect with them outside of Fiverr, and I've been trying to figure out ways to be able to do that and
Hmm.
kind of build an actual relationship and not have it just be like, message me next time you want to buy a beat,
Hmm.
and actually like get to know their catalog and if I can help them out and stuff like that. So that's been tricky, and I don't know if I would recommend Fiverr for that per se. It's almost like people just buy your beat and then they're like, all right, bye. And then maybe later they're like, oh, hey, hi again. I need another beat, which some people probably like, but I kind of want to also, if there's artists that I feel like we mesh together style wise and just work wise, communication, whatever it is. It's hard to kind of continue that and try and cultivate that further because I think people just aren't really. I don't know if they're not expecting it or they're just shy or what it is, but it hasn't really worked out too well.
I wonder if it has to do with, and you talked about this in the video too, about how because you're kind of almost reversing the role. Like if someone's coming onto your beat page, typically it's like, oh, here are my beats. Here's what you get. If you don't like it, tough. Like then, someone's not going to message you on Track Train or BeatStars and be like, your beats suck. Like, and then you're like, okay, get off my page. Like, versus where, like you were saying in your video, you're on Fiverr. It's like you're kind of switching yourself into the customer service role all of a sudden, where you're like, like you said, the customer's always right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it might have something to do with that, where like the power dynamic is kind of shifted from like the artist
Yeah,
has a little bit more, and so maybe that's why it's just kind of harder to like connect, and like because when an artist is coming on your store, maybe they're kind of like excited and kind of want to build that relationship because they're like, oh, I like this guy's beats, I came to his store, like whatever. Versus Fiverr, it's like, well, he's making this for me, like. Do you think it could have something to do with that?
actually, yeah, I never thought about that, and I think you're probably really right about a lot of that because it is very much like they're hiring me for a service, and so I think the expectations change a little bit. It's not like I'm hitting them up on Instagram like, do you want to work together? It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like it's almost like they're expecting me to provide them a level of service and they're the one paying me, and so like they can kind of decide if they don't want to use me again, then they'll just go somewhere else. And so it feels like a little bit more less of like producer artist working together and more like artist hiring a producer to do what they want, I guess,
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Natel had a question though for
Yeah. He
Fiverr
asked.
songs. Go ahead.
If the he just wants to know if the Fiverr songs, do they get posted online, or are they for personal projects, or it sounds like you don't really know because like you say, they don't really tell you.
Yeah, and I've actually asked before for people. Some people tell me it's a personal project, especially if they want to use samples. I always like to give them the heads up, this could get taken down, like if you don't have the rights to use it and stuff like that. And a
Absolutely.
lot of times those people say, oh, yeah, it's just a personal project. I'm not planning to release it or whatever. But I do get
Interesting.
asked a lot of questions like that for people who are planning to release songs. And then a lot of times I try and follow up and I'll say, let me know when the song comes out or if I can check out some of your music. And either like they don't respond or they're like, it's my first song. I don't really have anything posted kind of thing. So
Mm.
honestly, I think I get quite a few people who are like just getting started. And so they don't really have a catalog or they've maybe recorded some stuff, but they didn't actually ever upload it type of thing. But yeah, for as far as my stuff, that's another. I guess to talk a little bit more about this, BeatStars has kind of contracts, and you can kind of select some terms and license agreements and stuff like that. Fiverr is like the Wild West, man. You don't really know out there, like if you buy somebody's beat, unless they say explicitly, like this is exclusive for profit, yours to use however you want. There's a lot of people who are just like, I'll make you a beat for $50, and you're kind of like, well, how does that work? How can I use it? Is it exclusive? Are you going to sell it to somebody else after me? So I try to be clear about that, but it's still like Wild West. Even I think I do a decent job of clarifying that, but I still don't send people like an agreement unless they ask for it, which has only happened one time. And I don't know, it's kind of just like people don't seem to care that much. Like they care, I think, if they think it's exclusive, and some people also hit me up and say, no, I want to own it. Like I don't want you to be able to do anything with it. I don't want you to be able to say you made it or anything like that, right? They want like a ghost producer type of thing.
Wait,
and I'm
what?
just like, yeah, they like want the copyright, the actual like copyright ownership. And I'm like, nah, sorry, I don't do that. So keep
Yeah,
looking,
even on exclusives, you still own the song. Like if it blows up, you still own 50% of the. That's crazy. They want you to give that up. Wow. Okay.
And talking about Wild West and getting into back end splits and stuff like that, like that's a whole nother thing. Like I can't even tell if people are releasing these songs. So for the most part, I'm not pushing anybody to like, you know, oh, did you post it? You do want to like, I don't even bring up the royalties at this point. I used to do that, but now I'm just kind of like, if I get my $50 and they're happy, then I'm happy and I move on. And I might use that melody for something else. I might use that beat for somebody else, as long as it's not exclusive.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's honestly like I'm building my 10,000 hours and getting paid to do it. That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Well, and odds are too, like you're saying, you know, if a lot of these people are coming on and they don't, and they're just, you know, just dipping their toe into making music and whatever, like, I mean, odds are their song's not going to do any streams anyways, so who cares? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, even when I'm selling a beat off of Track Train, it's like, yeah, I'll message them in the follow-up email, like, hey, you know, if you want to upgrade your license, let me know, I'll give you a discount, thank you for purchasing, if you release it, let me know, I'd love to hear it. I don't ever expect to hear it, because either, you know, there's a good chance they never release it, or they don't want to tell me about it, or it's not going to hit more than, you know, 80 streams. So who cares? I'd make, you know, 2 cents. Like, yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it can kill the vibe or turn people away if you're upfront discussing all this back end splits and royalties, and they're like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know what publishing means. Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, which is frustrating, but.
Right.
Because you should be able to discuss that, but
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think I'll probably address that on a case-by-case basis. And if let's say I someday raise my prices more to where I'm like getting more serious artists, quote unquote, then maybe that'll be more apparent that I need to like start bringing that up. But right now, it doesn't seem like it's going to be benefiting anybody.
Yeah, I was going to say too on here, it says that. Looking at your page, well, I actually found this is weird, but and I wasn't like trying to like go digging for stuff.
Yeah.
I just typed in Lukeblood Fiverr on Google and 3 pages popped up. So, there's this one that says I will make you a custom type beat, and it says, and it's like, and you have like jumpstart package $10. $25, $35. So this looks like maybe a more like an older one.
Interesting. Yeah. So these are on hold. Yeah. So you're getting a little bit of a sneak peek into like previous versions. This was one that I ditched, I think, and retitled and did some stuff. So yeah, okay. It looks like some old ones that are no longer active. Like you wouldn't be able to order, I don't think, from those. But you can see it looks like they're still accessible from the public. I think if you search on the site, I wouldn't think those would show up. So I'm surprised you can even see those. But yeah, background music for YouTube videos.
Yep,
I had a gig for that. Yep, I did. I had like a Twitch gig. I did somebody's like subscription sound, like alert sounds, and
nice.
Some stuff like that. That was like one of the early ones that I got. And then at some point I was getting paid more for the beats. Like I was able to raise my prices and I enjoyed them more, and I didn't have time to like do all of them. So I just got rid of those gigs that were more like, I'll make something for YouTube or Twitch.
Okay. So on going back to your one that's live then, it says on here 5 days delivery, 2 revisions. So I'm understanding this right. You've revised it twice on how quick the beat comes back. From just an outsider's perspective, I'm guessing you revised it to push the date out a little bit, but I could be wrong. Or did you shorten it? What did you do?
Fiverr, so the revisions is actually for the project. So you, basically, as a buyer, you can buy the project, right? So here's kind of the process. If you place an order on my page, right, then I have kind of an automatic thing that says, tell me a little bit about the project, you know, if you have any references, tempo, instruments, that type of stuff.
Okay.
And so you fill that out, and that's when the timer starts for me having to make the beat. So I have that 5 days from the point you hit the order button to deliver. And so I communicate with you, say, hey, you know, just making sure this, that, the other thing. And then at the end of the time frame, or whenever I'm done with the beat, I deliver on Fiverr. It's like an action that I can take on there. And then once I deliver, you have 3 days to either accept the delivery or request revisions. If you accept the delivery, it's just done, and like I get paid. The funds get released to me, right?
Okay.
If you request revisions, then it goes into like this new thing, and I have more time to basically work on it, and you give me notes, and we go back and forth. So the 2 revisions thing, some people I deliver it and they're like, it's perfect, accept the delivery. Other people, I've honestly done 3 or 4, maybe even more revisions with certain people, and that's kind of on a case by case. And one person I actually had to tell, like, I can't keep doing revisions anymore in like a nice way, like, because basically they had changed their mind about stuff. The revisions is supposed to be like, if I got it wrong or misunderstood, I'll revise. But if they're like, you know what, I changed my mind, I actually want to do this, then I'm like,
nah, want a whole new vibe.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know, maybe we should just like reconsider this. And actually that beat, he canceled on me, and he was nice about it. It was like a whole thing. That was like the worst experience probably that I had at the time, just because I put a lot of work into it, did a lot of revisions for free beyond the 2 revisions. And then it was just like, yeah. And he was like, is it okay if I cancel it? And I was just like, yeah, go ahead, because I didn't want to deal with it anymore. And it was like $25. I think I even gave him a lower price offer, because he's like, yeah, so this lesson learned, he was like, I've got like $20, right? And it was 25. And so I said, sure, I'll send him an offer for $20. I should have known. That should have been like a red flag right away, that he was going to like try and get more mileage out of the beat than it actually was intended to be.
I was actually going to ask you that, because Jordan Lumley, he always talks about, he says that, like, because I'm sure this is on every beat selling site, people can favorite the beat or like wish list it or whatever, and he says he'll go in and directly contact the people who've wish listed, and he's like, hey, you know, I saw that you wish listed it, I can give you the MP3 for this much, and he'll take like $5 off, or like, I'll give you the wave for this much, just to like try to weed out those people who maybe are just a little hesitant, and he wants to just hit them with the like, hey, here's a deal, and then they're like, oh, okay, and they pull the trigger. So I was gonna ask you that, like, so you're saying that it seems like you're now a little hesitant when people come in with the, hey, I have this money, as opposed to maybe his thought process where it's like, well, some money's better than no money. Like, so has that kind of soured you then to people coming in with the, trying to hit you with the deal or whatever?
Maybe a little bit, if I'm being honest. I think it's a little different, and I don't think Fiverr has a feature like that. I'm gonna have to check actually, because that sounds really cool, to be able to like present someone with an offer if you see that they liked your page. Because to me, those people are just like, they probably saw my page and liked a beat and were like, I'll save this and keep looking at some other people's pages. It might not even be the price is too high, or it might not be I'm trying to save $1, so I don't think I want to order right now. It might just be like, I want to check and see if there's somebody else out there who seems like maybe I want to hit them up too. So I would do that, I think, if I had the option to shoot someone a deal. I think it's one thing when the person comes to me seeing my price and then kind of like trying to offer less than that, versus me presenting somebody else with like a better offer, just to see if I can get them to to commit to a purchase. But to be honest, yeah, I think I hear that. I've heard it in a lot of business podcasts that a lot of times it's like the the clients who complain about pricing the most that are the hardest to deal with anyways. So I kind of was looking at it like that. Like if somebody's super bent out of shape about like an extra $5, and this person wasn't, they were super reasonable. And so I kind of built it up in my head, I think. But if that's the case, like maybe it's worth just not working with them and working with the people who, because there's people out there who pay me the money and say, this is perfect. I'm super happy with it.
Yeah.
And that's less stressful for me. I don't have to go through 5 extra revisions and stuff like that. So I just kind of cut my losses on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, because, I mean, I think that was one of the things that, because, you know, with me and my wife's business, like, that was one of the things we had to learn early on. And even another business owner from here that we met with for lunch and got some advice from, like, she even said, she's like, my best advice I can give you is, you know, if you're even getting like a bad just vibe, like, you know, from like an email with this person, like, just cut it. Like, just be like, you know, I don't know that we'll be the best fit for each other, like, and then just move on, because she's like trying to work through that. And so that's interesting that you say that, because it kind of sounds, you know, similar. This is like like we said, you know, it's back to being the customer service mode, and this is, you know, what you're trying to offer to them. And it's like, so you too have to be looking out for yourself, and like, you know, if something doesn't feel right, it's like, sorry, you know,
Right.
it's not gonna work. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have to let people like push me around just because they're paying me to make a beat or whatever. And I think that that business partner or person who was meeting with you I think that's a good idea. If you can sense something's off, maybe there's a reason, and it might turn into like a nightmare situation, and it might just be better to just be like, you know what, you know, maybe I don't know if this is going to be the best fit, and maybe you can like refer them to somebody else or something like that. But I think sometimes if you can sense that, there might be a reason that you don't feel good about it.
Yeah. So does Fiverr limit how much you can charge then? I know me and Nate were talking about this because we actually he came onto the stream when I was streaming, and he's like, oh, did you see Luke's video? And I was like, no. And that was kind of how this whole thing started. And that's when I commented and stuff. And he was saying he thought that maybe Fiverr like limited how much, because they don't want gigs to like start getting like astronomical maybe, but I wasn't sure. Is that true? Did they limit how much you can charge, or?
I think they do. To me, it felt more like a race to the bottom, honestly. Like people were trying to sell their beats for the lowest possible price. But I think they do have limits on how high, and I think that ceiling raises when you level up. So they have kind of a seller leveling system where initially you're just like, I don't think you have a new seller or something, right? And then you can get to level 1, and you can get to level 2, and then like a top seller or something like that, right? And so I haven't paid too much attention because for the most part it hasn't affected me, but I think I've gotten notifications for like, congrats, you're level 2, you can now sell gigs for like $10,000 or something like that. And I'm like, dang, like, so
right
yeah,
on.
I mean, maybe someday.
Okay, so there is a cap, but it's like, it's stupid. Like you'd never.
I'm nowhere near that.
Okay.
For sure, so.
Awesome. So you said also in the video, you said that they take a 20% tip, but also, or a 20% fee, but they take it off the tip too.
Yeah,
that seems
it's kind of
weird.
shady. It's kind of weird, honestly. I don't know. I think it's just kind of it's the same thing where I just had to decide if that was going to be a deal breaker for me or not, and if I can still sell a beat for $100 and make 80 or whatever that is. Like I figured, hey, you know, I can't get too bent out of shape because honestly the traffic's there. Like I don't have that many people going to my YouTube page or my Instagram and with the money in their hand looking for beats, right? So Fiverr is doing their part, honestly, bringing eyes to they're paying for advertisements, you know.
Yeah.
Probably not to rappers really necessarily, but their name is out there, and so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I kind of was like, it's weird and it seems like a lot, but I also don't have to pay like a monthly fee or anything like that. So
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess it is what it is. Just sixes at that point, honestly.
yeah,
But all right. So, do you feel like you have to be, because you're, I would say, very good at making melodies. I mean, you had we're doing the late night loops and stuff, and that's
thanks,
always
man.
been. I mean, yeah, that's been your passion. It seems like you like doing the melodies, getting the feels going. So, like, do you feel like you really have to be pretty proficient at making melodies then if you're gonna be trying to do this?
Yeah, actually, I do, and that's probably kind of a barrier to entry for some people. And I think you could probably, if you have like a Splice or Arcade or whatever, I think you could probably get by. I've heard that people have issues with those where if you don't chop up melodies and somebody else like content IDs their song that has splice melodies in it, then somebody else's song might get copyright striked and stuff like that. So that's like a whole nother can of worms. Honestly, like it might never be a problem. And like I said, I don't even know if these people are really posting these songs and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but it definitely has been a big deal to be able to do, and it's been hard. Like I've had weird requests where it was like way out of my comfort zone to try and come up with something, and like I felt like I was not necessarily doing a good job. But then you have to kind of like realize that I don't know, the artist doesn't hear all the things that I'm hearing. They don't know the process and stuff like this. Not
Yeah.
in like a shady way, but just um, like I can't read their mind and know if they're gonna think this is good or not. So to some extent, like you put something together and you say, "Here it is," and then I've had people respond and say like, "That's not at all what I had in mind," and it's like, okay, I just try and get them to continue working with me till we get to the point where they like it. And some people are like some of the ones I'm most insecure about. They're just like, "This is perfect." So it's hard to know. But
Okay.
but the melodies has been a big deal because people will ask for like people usually come to me with like a specific type of beat or like I like this song, can you do something similar? And so being able to create a melody that has like a similar vibe is a big piece of recreating what they typically are looking for.
Yeah. All right. So, and then are they? So, is every single beat like totally, completely custom from scratch? You're staring at the empty MIDI keyboard, like just trying to figure out what to do, or have you kind of tried to incorporate like maybe like royalty-free loops or something, like stuff that's not going to get claimed or whatever? Maybe like cymatic stuff or something like.
For me, no, I haven't used any loops or samples unless they specifically ask for it.
Okay.
And I'm not, that's not, I'm not thinking that's the way you should do it or that you have to do it. That's the way I've been doing it, and it's been working well. And it kind of goes back to like me doing this for like the long haul thing of now I can make better melodies in like a weird style that I haven't done before, and I might take elements from that, or maybe I learn some new chords or something like that, to where it's been worth it, I think, for me to have that creative control just for my own experience and my own learning, if nothing else.
You're just okay, so you're just looking at it all as like a learning experience, self education, just whatever, getting good.
Pretty much, because to be honest, I would have to charge a lot for a beat to be able to like do this full time or anything like that. To me, this is kind of a stepping stone, and like if I can make a couple $100 a month doing this, then I can put that into other things. And I've already kind of started trying to kind of upgrade this into some sync licensing stuff, which hasn't honestly worked yet, but it's something that I'm spending more time on because it's similar thing. I'm almost making a custom beat, but like at a higher price point. And so it's kind of been a good stepping stone for me. And And yeah, I'm just kind of like I said earlier, it kind of feels like I'm getting paid to practice making beats, and sometimes I'm not feeling it at all. Like it's something I would never make and don't really like. But uh, honestly, like I learn stuff a lot of times just playing with things and trying ideas, and maybe that filters over to the stuff that I do like to make too.
Yeah, I was gonna say this sync licensing sounds interesting, but I don't want to get too far off topic right now. I have a few more questions, but do you show? So you've said like kind of talked about the revision process and stuff. Do you show any of the stuff that you're working on at all? Like kind of send them a little clip or something, and you're like, oh, here's how's it sounding, like, or are you just straight up like, here's the final product, then now let me know if you have a revision. Oh snap!
Splash. Oh, did you lose me?
Yeah, where'd you
Here.
go?
Where's my video? Let me try and unplug it again. So I got like this whole new set of. I think we're reconnecting here. Maybe.
Okay, I can hear you again.
This and plug it back in. Yeah, so I've got like. Can you hear me?
There we go.
I think my webcam might kick in here in a second. So I've got like all these hubs and stuff now where I'm like wanting to be able to switch between my desktop and my laptop and stuff. So it's a mess right now, and I think a hub just like disconnected for a second. But but
Nate
we're back.
said that reliable Nampa internet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, big splash. Sync, I'm excited. I hope, yeah, we can talk about that another time, but Sync seems like a good working towards opportunity. But you had a different question, and I honestly forget what that was now.
Just if you show people as you're making the beat, or just wait until the very end to send them the finished product.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth a little bit about that. Sometimes I send people a melody. Sometimes people ask to hear the melody before it's done. Or I've even sent people like a little bit of a clip before I lay out the whole beat type of thing. For the most part, though, I just make it and send it to them. To be honest, sometimes I'm making the beat like the day it's due. And so for whatever reason, maybe I had beats like all week that I was also making, and then it just turned out this way. And so I don't like to commit to put myself in the position of I'll send you a melody halfway through or something, because sometimes it just doesn't work out for me to be able to do that. I have been toying around with the idea, and actually that's partly why I've got all these switches here so I can get my desktop back up and streaming. But I'm toying around with the idea of like asking a couple people like, is it okay if I make this like on stream or do a video of me making this beat? I don't know if that might be interesting to artists. And if nothing else, like I want to be able to stream more stuff, and I think it'd be cool to stream like making a beat for someone on Fiverr again, but actually have it be like really transparent to the buyer too. And to me, that might be like a good way to get like more premium service, is somebody can like join the live stream where I'm making their beat, and they could be like, nah, I don't like that at all, or like, yeah, this is cool, maybe do some of this, and build that into like a package or something like that. So currently, no, I don't do much like that, but I'm playing around with some ideas.
I was gonna say, I wonder if that almost could backfire though, because like we're talking about how some of these people don't really know, like you even said, you know, they don't know the process. Like,
Yeah.
so maybe if you've got somebody in here that's just like, and they hop in the stream and they're like, they don't know like how, you know, what goes into all this, and they're just like, you know, trying to backseat drive while you're working, like that could be rough. But no,
Yeah.
that could be cool too though, if you know, when you get the streaming back up.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And that's kind of one of my fears. And I don't know, maybe it'll be like a case by case, like if they've ordered from me before, then I'll ask or something like that, because they at least kind of know like he's good at what he does. He made something before that I liked. I can trust him for it again. And I might have, if they actually join the stream, I might have to kind of set expectations like, hold on, you know, early stage of the beat here is going to sound weird or not great, but just bear with me, it'll get there type of thing. But it's intimidating, like the idea of doing that. I mean, making a beat in front of people on live stream is intimidating, at least when you first get started. And so to have like the person who's paying you money who you don't actually know, you've never met before, and they might like, I don't know, it's still just kind of intimidating, I guess. But
It's always scary. Yeah, I always have my viewers turned off because I don't like knowing if anyone's in there really, unless they're like, you know, talking and stuff and being nice. And then when you get rated, like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, Big Splash says, you know, try cooking up in front of an artist and his whole entourage. I can't even like imagine that. Like, we'd be so nerve wracking.
yep,
But
absolutely.
yeah, so one of the big, because you're doing custom beat orders, one of the big jokes is like, you know, that people say like, oh, let me get a beat that like sounds like Metro Boomin but has Travis Scott pads but has a Kid Cudi hum, and then, you know, like, and like the big joke is like, you know, people can never narrow down what they want. Like, have you had to deal with that at all, where you're just like, you gotta help me out here? Like, please narrow down what you want on your beat. Have you had to deal with that at all?
Yeah, I definitely have. Sometimes people send me like four different beats and they just say like, I like these, and they're completely different. And you just kind of got to ask some more questions. Like, is there one of these in particular that you really like, or Pete, do you like the, I don't know, maybe you can just kind of regurgitate what you plan to do. Like, okay, maybe I'll take the tempo from this one and some of the melody ideas from this one, but the drums from this one. And obviously when I say take, I don't mean you're gonna like copy them. I just mean like, if the drums on one of them are like super distorted, maybe pull some of that energy. If the melody's like super synth based, maybe use some synths type of thing. But if people send too many projects, even if I try and pull bits and pieces from the different ones, it's harder to know for sure what they want. And I've had that issue where the guy was super understanding, but he was just like, I think I sent you too many references because this isn't really what I had in mind. So you got to kind of understand some of these people asking for the beat, they don't know what a hi-hat is. They don't even know what a, like in a beat, I had a guy saying he didn't want the bell in it. He's like, this sounds good, just take out the bell. And there was no bell in the beat. And it took me like 5 revisions, no joke, to figure out what he was talking about. That one was like,
What was he talking about?
A head scratcher. It was like, it was just this melody, like a 3-note melody part. And for some reason, that part sounded like a chime or like a bell toll or something like that. And it was just the notes themselves. It wasn't this instrument, because I changed it to synths. I tried pianos. I tried like some wacky stuff. And he was like, dude, the bell is still in there. And I was like, what are you talking about? But I had my wife listen to it, and she's like, it does kind of sound like a bell. And I was like, what? So yeah, she actually helped me. She actually helped me get that one fixed, and he liked it. He loved it after I changed the melody, it wasn't even the instrument. It was just the melody line. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah, like Big Splash is saying, he just said people who aren't experienced tend to like opposite ends of the spectrum. They say, give me something heavy and bouncy, but chill and minimal. Like, yeah, because again, they don't know, you know, what's behind the curtain or whatever, what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And they probably like all of those things and think if they ask for them, maybe they'll get something they like, and
Yeah.
they don't really know.
Yeah. So what's the goal then? You have this. You said that you're doing the Fiverr thing, and then you're doing the sync thing. Like, is that the direction then, kind of, that you think you're going to be going with your producing?
Yeah, the goal now is really to try and build a more passive income stream, for lack of a better term. I know that's kind of like a buzzword or whatever, but the thing with Fiverr is it does take a lot of time. You're getting, like, when it comes down to it, even if I sell a beat for $150, I'm probably spending, you know, if it's fast, maybe 2 hours. If it's slow, maybe 4 or 5 hours before it's all said and done. If I spend 5 hours, I'm getting like $30 an hour, which isn't bad, but it doesn't really, if I'm working full time, it's not really going to work to transition into like that being a career move. I don't think. So I'm raising my prices slowly on that, but I'm also trying to get back into some more stuff that is honestly like a bigger return for the amount of time that I put into it. And part of that is like the more traditional but also super popular like selling beats on BeatStars through YouTube or type beats type of thing. And so I'm thinking about just trying to get back into some more of that stuff to build some brand and just have some consistent output that hopefully kind of builds. But sync licensing is another one that felt like the next price point. On Fiverr, I feel like maybe I'm reaching a ceiling, at least the way I'm set up, and sync licensing kind of felt like maybe a next step up in a similar vein. Because Fiverr was working for whatever reason. Like I've made a decent amount on there, especially compared to anything I've done before. So I was like, maybe I just need to like lean into this a little bit more. And so the next progression kind of seemed like sync.
Okay. So what kind of I guess I don't know, you said that you do think that you need to have the melodies pretty down if you're going to be doing the Fiverr thing. So is there any producer that maybe like you don't think it would be a good fit on if you're a certain type of producer to get on Fiverr, or do you think you could always make it work? Maybe if you're like a sample producer or something, or like
I'd say go for it just about no matter what, honestly. Like if you're a sampler producer, maybe just put that in your gig title because someone might be searching for that specifically.
okay.
Or if you're just using like royalty free loops and stuff like that, to be honest, like to some extent, it's not your fault if somebody content IDs a song with a royalty free loop because they were in the wrong, right? It wasn't you. You might look bad to the person who buys the beat because they don't understand how all that works. I don't know. Like, to be honest, like it might be fine. You might never run into anything using royalty free loops and stuff like that. Honestly, like I wouldn't sweat it too much. Maybe jump in and see, and if it ends up being like that it's not going to work out, you can't find loops that are specific to what the person wants or something like that, you may decide it's not the thing for you. But I don't think there's any harm in trying it, and maybe you'll find there's like a market there for exactly what you can do. And it might be you don't have melodies on your beats, right? You have an 808 and drums, and like a piano, like a single piano note, right? There's a market for that. And so just find out who that is and try to sell to them on Fiverr. What's up with piano these days and beats on like Spotify charts and stuff? I don't get it.
Don't get what?
I mean, piano is like the new guitar, I think, but maybe not.
Oh, I mean, everything goes in waves. It's just
Yeah.
the flute, then the guitar, then the piano, then it just kind of cycles through. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But, all right, so I have noticed that you don't promote your Fiverr on any of, like, your social media or anything. Is that, like, was that something you decided, or you just haven't gotten around to it? Are you going to start promoting it on your social media, or?
Yeah, I don't know if I will so much promote it, but I have always intended to say something about it and just at least be like, hey, by the way, like I sell beats on Fiverr. I always kind of thought it could be cool too for next time somebody hits me up on Instagram and they're like, do you sell beats? I can be like, oh yeah, I actually like have a Fiverr gig if you want to check it out. Because then it's like the price point's already there. They know what they're getting. And I can still just message them on Instagram if they have questions. But it feels like, I don't know, I have a little bit more confidence in my pricing just because of that Fiverr gig. Excuse me. And before, like, someone would ask me how much for a beat, and I had to, like, almost decide. I think a beat store helps with this kind of thing, too, just having a beat store. But
Yeah.
I don't have it's not intentional that I haven't posted anything. It's more when I started doing Fiverr, there was actually like a lot of life stuff going on too, and like losing the job that I had at the time. And that was partly like why I jumped in super heavy into Fiverr, and I did like I made 50 beats for 50 different people in like 3 or 4 months, right? Which was a lot more than I typically had been doing. and I was kind of like going all in just to see what would happen. And because of that, like I didn't really do much. I didn't keep up posting on Instagram. I didn't keep up with YouTube and stuff like that. And so now I'm dialing back that Fiverr. Like I can get one order a week and still make like how much I was making at 4 orders a week, just because I was able to raise my price. And so now I'm kind of balancing things out and planning to just dedicate a little bit more time to things that I had been doing previously that I enjoyed or I thought was worthwhile.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, I was just gonna ask you too. So you're planning then on opening a beat store also, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'd like to. I have a lot of beats. I'm sitting on more beats than ever, honestly,
Hmm.
and I hate that. I hate doing that. So I want to just come up with like a really streamlined process for me to be able to post a beat a week, 2 beats a week, whatever it is, and just get them all out on YouTube, and then have a link say, if you want to buy this beat, it's on my BeatStars or whatever, right?
Hmm.
Just because if one person buys one of those, then like it helps pay for my BeatStars, and then maybe 2 people buy one. It may take 5 years before I'm like getting a few beats a week, but it's just kind of diversifying, and I think that kind of thing can build. And honestly, like I just hate that stuff sitting on my hard drive if somebody could use it, or yeah, I just want to get them out there.
Yeah. Do you keep your tag in your beat when you send it to
Not on
the
Fiverr.
artist? No, you don't.
Not on
Okay.
Fiverr. No. And I think from the start, I kind of just decided not to. And I don't know why. That was another thing that I had to wrestle with a little bit, because it was like, it's my beat, I made the beat. I should keep my beat tag in there. And plus, I kind of thought, if somebody else steals it, I'd be curious to see if the beat tag's in there or whatever. And I don't know. I just kind of decided I'm going to let go. I'm going to let go and be okay with it.
Okay. Right on. So,
Brand protection.
yeah.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree. No, I don't disagree. And it's not yeah, so with the brand protection note and blindly passing my beat onto a stranger, he's absolutely right. And I decided I'm okay with that, honestly. Like I think I used to sweat too much about like, what if somebody downloads my beat? What if somebody steals my beat? And that would keep me from taking steps like getting on Fiverr. Like Fiverr doesn't have contracts. Fiverr doesn't have like a way to make sure someone's not stealing my stuff. They kind of do. I'm just kind of throwing out examples. But at some point, like I don't think I would have progressed as quickly in some areas, like making some money on Fiverr, if I didn't just kind of decide, you know, there's going to be some gray area. I might not get credit for this beat. My tag might not be in there. But if I make like a couple $1,000s, then I, I'm
Then
going to
who
decide I'm
cares?
okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. And some people leave their tags on there on Fiverr. You don't have to take it out. I don't know if somebody's going to ask you to take it out if you leave it in. I just decided not to.
Yeah. I'm sure people would, but I mean, yeah, depending on what you decided, yeah, you could be like, because I mean, on like a beat store, you can have in the contract, like, you have to put produced by,
Hmm.
um, you know, Lukeblood or whatever, and then it's like, yeah, then who cares? Like, whereas on Fiverr, it's like if you're just sending it out, like, yeah, maybe just keep it in there just because like you can't really enforce them putting your name anywhere in it, like, so you're gonna put your own name, but yeah,
Hmm.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, Big Splash has another note here. Better off stolen and you get a hit and a lawsuit than wasting away on your PC. And I think I agree with that. Even if you don't go the lawsuit route, I know people who have had their careers made off of beats where they got essentially zero publishing. And sometimes just having your name tied to that beat makes you enough of a commodity that you can build a career out of that. Or if you kind of play the follow up game of like, here's how I made the beat, maybe like kind of run off some of that energy of whatever hit came out with your beat, even if it's not explicitly, your tag's not in it or whatever. I think there's a lot of moves you can make that can be career changing, even if somebody stole your beat, and made a hit with it. So
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember who said it, but I can't remember who the producer was, but they're essentially, yeah, they're saying the same thing. They're like, you guys are worrying too much about your beat getting stolen. Like, at the point that your beat is getting stolen, like, you're doing something right. Like, no one's gonna
yeah,
steal it right now. Like, why do
right.
you care? Like, DJ Payne, yeah, it might have been DJ Pay One who said that,
Yeah.
but um, okay, do you set a time limit for yourself when you're making these beats? Like, do you try to be like, okay, I'm only gonna spend like this much time on beat? Because I would imagine that sometimes you're getting, like you said in the video, like, getting lost in what beat for like 5 hours, and then at that point, it's like, is this worth it? Because now I'm only making like $10 an hour or something. Like, do you try to set that time limit of like, okay, I'm only gonna work on this for like this long?
Um, I tried to make note of how long I was taking early on, and I try to be aware of it. Although I don't time myself or set a time limit, I have done a few things to try and like speed up my process. Things that like I have a template now in FL Studio that I update fairly frequently if there's like um, certain effects I use all the time or EQ settings I use all the time, that type of thing. I'll save those,
Mm.
and just because if it saves me 30 seconds right on a beat,
Yeah.
well, if I have like 10 of those things, all of a sudden I'm saving a few minutes. And so, but no, I haven't set any timers for myself, and I try to keep it moving, and honestly I try to break it up a little bit if I can, just because it's harder for me to sit down in one sitting and make a whole thing versus like spend 30 minutes and make a melody and then come back and make some adjustments and add some drums or whatever.
Yeah,
It
I was
seems to
gonna
go a little bit
say
faster.
you kind of work in the because it always seemed to me like there's producers who work in chunks, and then there's producers who work in the spurts, and like you've always seemed kind of like it's like 30 minutes 30 minutes 30 minutes type of deal, whereas like Nick Mira will sit down for like 12 hours or something, and like it's just like
Yeah. I
crazy.
aspire,
But
yeah. Nick Mira is like one of the producers I look up to a lot, and I aspire to be able to do that. But I think you have to. I think it comes with time, honestly. I've gotten to where it used to be it would take me a week to finish a beat, and I've sat down in an hour, hour and a half, and made a beat that I was happy with now. Um, After making probably like 100 beats, 200 beats, or whatever, I've gotten to that point, and I think it'll get faster. And that's part of like me setting up my keyboard here at my desk instead of having to plug it in every time. Me having my guitar next to me, right, instead of having to go get it out of the closet, and just being able to like have that creative workflow and get the idea out fast. Because part of this for me is once I've spent an hour working on this melody, I kind of lose. I lose the feeling, and I can't tell what it sounds like anymore. Almost, if I leave and come back tomorrow, I'll know right away that needs to change. This part's good, and then like 2 minutes, and I'm moving on to the next thing. So being able to like move quickly, I think, can save an idea versus spending too long on it and killing it. So I try. I think spurts works for me, but eventually I want to get to where I can just make a beat in 20 minutes or 10 minutes like Nick Mira. That's the dream.
yeah, can you still hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
Whoa,
yeah.
my computer glitched again for a bit, but I think we're okay. All right, we are winding down here. Oh, I was gonna ask you because you're talking about Beat Store, you're talking about now the Fiverr stuff, like, and as you're saying, some of them aren't exclusive still. Like, you do still maintain the rights, you still own these beats. Like, have you been sending out beats at all to any artists, or are you kind of off that? Like, you're not really doing the placement thing. You just want to focus on Sync, Fiverr, and Beat Store, or whatever.
Right. No, I've been sending stuff to still the valid point. And a lot of Fiverr stuff that I've made probably like 20 beats maybe on Fiverr that I really like, honestly, and are non-exclusive that I've sent to people, a couple people, not like a lot of people. So there's a couple artists. There's a new local artist, not new local artist, but there's a couple local artists too that I really like that I've found more recently that I'm hoping to work with. And so, um, So yeah, I'm being pretty selective, I guess. I'm not trying to like necessarily work with everybody or send stuff out to everybody, unless I think, oh, I have something that could be a good fit for that person. But I'm still trying to do that. I just haven't been as much, to be honest.
Okay. And then, so I'm assuming the 5-star rating is like pretty important on Fiverr, because you don't ever want to. Have you ever had to deal with someone like maybe giving you like a 4-star, or like saying they were gonna give you like a lower, and then you're kind of like, because I know even like in our business, sometimes if you can feel that coming, it's kind of like, because unfortunately the rating matters. Google ratings, Fiverr ratings, whatever, like it does matter. People do like seeing that 5-star, and you kind of have to like concede some things even just to make sure to keep the 5-star. Have you ever kind of had to do that where you're like, because you want to keep that 5-star standard?
I've been pretty fortunate and to not have to like I don't know. I've had a couple where I'm like, I felt like maybe I was not going to get a good rating, or it started out, it was maybe one of the ones where I delivered the beat and they didn't like it at all, really. And I was like, dang, if I don't like flip this around, or if they get tired of working with me on revisions or something, they might just be like, you know what, forget it and give me a bad rating. But so far, that's never happened. Like, honestly, everybody's given me 5-star ratings, and I think it's just because I'm like trying to, I don't know, I'm kind of trying to put myself in their shoes. And if the beat's not right, I'm not like, here's the beat, I'm very clear. Like, if anything isn't how you want it, if it's not quite right, or I didn't quite know what you were asking for, anything like that, let me know. So I'm trying to just be very open to continuing to work with them on the beat until they're happy with it. I think that makes a difference, and I think honestly I'm probably a little bit lucky because I'm sure there's like a 1-star rating customer waiting around the corner. But I think that's the case for anything, honestly. Eventually you're going to get the person who's just not willing to work with you, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Have you been able to, because I know we've talked about it a lot, like collaborations, and how, I mean, before you figured out this whole Fiverr thing, we were able to start kind of having your own leverage, which is pretty cool. But the most, at least for me, the most successful things have kind of come from collaboration. Is there any way that you've been able to incorporate that into the Fiverr gigs, or is it all just kind of have to be on you?
It's been on me, but I'm trying to think of some ways to not have it be. And one is hiring people to actually like record some melodies or loops, maybe like musicians. I actually did reach out to somebody who I know through Instagram, not through Fiverr, but I found out they were on Fiverr, about doing something like that, and it's kind of been left at that, and we never moved forward with it. But that was one idea I had. Another one was just to kind of reach out to some other producers on Fiverr about collaborating on stuff or working together, but nothing really. And I don't think the platform is really built to do that per se, to collaborate. I think you could, if you wanted, I guess you could have someone order a beat, and then if you didn't know how to make the melody, try and find somebody who could make the melody on Fiverr, and then you pay them, and then you get paid for the beat or whatever. I don't know, like I haven't done anything like that, and I feel like I'm a little bit working solo on Fiverr, which I haven't loved, honestly. That's one thing. I feel like I've really gotten away from some of the producer relationships, or just artist relationships, just because I haven't been like on social media as much. I haven't been hitting people up as much, and that's partly due to just like life stuff or whatever the case may be. But I think Fiverr is not really conducive to working relationships in general, I guess.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that makes
And that's the
sense.
way I'm doing it, honestly. Like, I think there's opportunity there. I just it doesn't naturally lean that way, I think. And so if you want that out of it, you're probably going to have to be a little bit more proactive about finding that.
Okay. Well, last thing here, you said in your video at the end, you're like, that's just the start. I have a lot more to say about Fiverr. You've talked about it a ton here, giving us a bunch of good stuff. Is there anything else that like you think people need to know about it, or stuff you wish you'd known about it before you started, or just anything that comes to mind?
Oh, that's a good question. So I guess one thing I would say is it's it's been a challenge for me, and it's gotten me. This is just kind of my personal thing, but it's gotten me more open to doing other things like vocal mixing. I've actually started doing some vocal mixing, just because people on Fiverr are looking for that a lot of times. So they'll send me vocals, and I'll just be like, "Hey, I played around with the vocals some. You can use them if you want." And prior to that, nothing really got me off my butt to actually do vocal mixing. And
Hmm.
so it's been cool to kind of get me, push me into areas I wouldn't normally have gone. But I would say if you're, I think you have to kind of, you might have to kind of come to grips with yourself about if you're okay getting paid less than what you might think is fair, to give it a try and see if it's worth it to you, or if you're okay. I don't know, maybe compromising on some things, because to me it's been worth it. Like, honestly, I don't even sweat it anymore to think I'm getting paid $50 for a beat that maybe I could get paid more for, or something like that. Like, it's been a good experience for me, and I'm dialing it back currently. But I got an order for $150 like a couple of days ago, and I've spent like an hour on it. I'll probably spend like another hour or two wrapping it up, and that's pretty cool. Like, I can kind of decide how I can use that $150 to put that towards something that might build more revenue in another.
Oh,
That's kind of what I said in my video. If you're really thinking about it and you just can't decide, I would say kind of be okay letting go of some ideas you had about selling beats, and just give it a shot and see what happens.
okay. Uh, it's glitching again.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Well, that's probably a good spot to end it then. Yeah, Luke, appreciate you coming through and telling us all about Fiverr. That's super
of
cool.
course.
I'm super happy for you that you're doing this now, and I know you, like you say, you had life stuff going on, and so I'm happy that you're able to find this and start working on it. That's awesome. But yeah, so Luke, actually, if you could stick around after we end the stream, that would be cool. But to
Sure.
everyone else, appreciate you guys coming through. This is going to be up on wherever you listen to podcasts. It should be up hopefully tomorrow, if not the next day. So just look for that Small Town Producer Podcast, as it says in the lower left corner. If you want to follow me and know when we're going to be doing this next, it's just at Beats by Kana, and that's on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Kana Beats on YouTube, whatever. Follow me on Twitch if you're listening to this, and we do it live. We got video, got us here talking. Luke, where can everyone follow you at?
At Lukeblooded on Instagram, Lukeblood on YouTube. I think you can search me and find me. So yeah, probably those are the best spots.
And then he's got a Fiverr. If anybody, if anybody wants a custom beat, head over to that Fiverr. But
Yeah, tell me you came from the podcast or Kana's stream. I'll give you a deal.
yeah, do the Kana deal. All right. Well, appreciate everybody for rolling through. We will see you next time. We're gonna be getting back into this. We're gonna have more guests, I promise. So, yeah. Peace, everybody.
See ya.